afternoon. I'm Diana Hart from Poplar Village Gardens, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about our work in the fall and how it prepares us for the spring and why it is so important. I also wanted to talk a little bit today about the role of the volunteers here in the garden. Part of our rainwater catchment system here, we have two of these in between these two houses. This one is completely full and the other one's about half full after the rain that we had this week, and it was not a downpour, which is really not your best kind of rain, but it was just on and off rain. Some of it was a little more generous than others, and just from that we've been able to accumulate from this one downspout an entire tote full of water. So after having a drought with not very much water, we are super excited. And if you look here, when we got that first part of the rainfall, we actually took all the jugs that we had and we filled them up in order to make room for more water that was coming out of the sky and into our rainwater catchment. One of the things that's really important to do in the fall for spring is to take on some of the larger infrastructure projects while the ground is still not frozen. It's going to be a while before the ground thaws, but piles of compost, piles of mulch, they all get frozen. If we wait until spring, we are not going to be able to access that as early as what we would need to in order for the project to take place before the growing season starts. One of the biggest projects that I think we're going to be working on this fall is this project surrounding the apple trees. We did watch this apple tree. It lost a lot of its leaves during the end of the season, prematurely I might add, and I did a little bit of research and we really think that it could have been some kind of a fungal thing. So there's going to be a project going on back here that's going to involve opening up the airspace for this tree in particular, because this is our good producer, and also creating a more hospitable space for it to grow. And what that means here is that we're actually going to grow this in guild style. We're going to take and we are going to remove the invasives from this space and the tree for that space, and then there's a little tiny apple tree back there. We're going to clear that all out of any invasives that might be there. We're going to lay down cardboard, which will help to kill the weeds, and then we're going to get mulch in here so that we can prepare the soil. Now, what hasn't happened back here is that we are doing out in the guilds is the soil regeneration. That's where we are creating conditions where the soil can start to build up its quality and its structure. And that is what the cardboard and the mulch will do in this area. The tree, I mean, you can see the size of it. It's going to come, the mulching will come all the way out to this space, and then we're going to take it and we're going to make a nice organic kidney shape around all of this area and encompassing this baby tree over here. This little apple tree's only been in the ground for a year. We did put it in here with the tree diaper. It is still doing all right. But what we want to do is we basically want to make a super guild just for these apple trees because they have been so generous to us over the years, and we want them to continue to do well in the following years. Now, once we've got the mulch down, then we are prepared in the spring to bring in some native plants and other plant life that will do the work that needs to be done in order to make the soil and the pollination conditions the best it can possibly be. Another project that we'd like to work on this fall is to remove or move some of the little hugelkultur mounds that we set up for growing. We're finding that in the area where these apple trees are big, they are far enough away from the house that they're not really getting close attention. They're also in this area, they're not getting a lot of sun. It's really hard to find a crop that can grow in here. And so we really feel like maybe this resource might be better used as soil underneath the trees or in another location. Now, the other thing that's going to happen with our mounds this year is that you can see, for instance, this one didn't get planted in, and it did not even get fully constructed. There was not enough soil put on this, and it never got planted. So we really want to make sure that we are refurbishing the support structures for any vining plants that we might want to grow on these mounds, and possibly replacing them with structures that are going to be more durable. But to build up the mounds, get the passive water systems installed, so that once we get our plants in here or we plant our seeds, then we just need to keep refilling the water and let let the mound do its work. One of the disappointments for this year, other than running out of water twice, was that we have 14 strawberry towers, and we probably got a handful of strawberries this year out of all the strawberries that were there. We had a lot of leaf growth thanks to some nitrogen, slow release nitrogen that we put in the form of feather meal, but we really should have done a more well-rounded job of fertilizing every layer. I think we would have had a lot more blossoms and a lot more strawberries. We also lost a lot of plants due to some unseasonably warm weather early in the season, that then the cold came back and pretty much killed everything that started to come back to life. So one of the things that our volunteers are working on today is we are trying to take all the runners that we've got, and we are actually repopulating all of the layers of the strawberry towers that did not get planted this year. So these then will be put in the greenhouse, and they will be allowed to grow a little bit longer in this season and become established in the layers where they will live before the season starts for the strawberries to grow without protection. They will be under protection either in the greenhouse, or our established strawberries will be under protection out in the longer beds where we're actually going to create a canopy so that they can have a little bit of shelter in case the weather does become extra cold. Plants that we are trying to get established before the season starts, they are, at this point, they are runners that we have just put into the layers. We will have to water them all season, but they will have a longer growing season due to being under the cover of a greenhouse, which we will then roll the sides down, and they will be extra protected. This worked really well for the plants that we established in here last year, and whatever extra runners we have, we're going to pot those up and get them established in here so that they will be ready for donation to people at Miss Virginia's.